Hello everybody, my name is Ace. Today I'm going to run a new T0 filament in a Confessor in the Abyss then. So the Depths of the Abyss update has been released on the test server. So not on Tranquility, but on the test server. And that actually has brought 2 or 3 important things when it comes to the Abyss, 3 big changes. And I think this is really exciting because I personally spend a lot of time in the Abyss. That is one of my favorite activities to do in EVE Online. I've run over 800 Abyss sites, actually I think almost 900 T5 Abyss sites. So I've run hundreds of other ones, but like almost 900 T5 Abysses, so I know a lot about this stuff, and I really get excited when I see this update because a lot of changes have been happening to something I spend a lot of time on, and some of them are good, some of them I think are a bit less good, and I'll tell you my thoughts about them while I'm running this T0 filament. So the first thing, I told you that there's 3 major changes. So the first thing is that we've got the new filament. So we've got this T0 filament and we've got the T6 filament. So the T6 filament is like a more difficult version of the, the T5s, and the T0 version is even easier than the T1s. And I think that's interesting because the T0s, they, allow new players to be even more easily acquainted with the Abyss. And I thought that T1s already were just easy enough for almost anyone. Like an alpha clone on day 1 is able to do them in a solo in a frigate. So I thought, well, cruisers should not at all be an issue. But definitely it helps a lot with even more newbies or just maybe people who've not so familiar with the game, to be able to do Abyss straight away when they've got, when they're doing these T0 filaments. Like, look at this, one measly frigate. I think that's really cool, though, that they're making it so that really new players can get into the Abyss. I think this is like an absolutely amazing part of EVE Online that I think a lot of more people should get into if you haven't already. So that comes to the second thing then, that there's been an update in this Depths of the Abyss update, and that's the destroyers can now go into the Abyss. So you used to be able to use 3 frigates, you used to be able to use 1 cruiser, now you can use 2 destroyers. Now I'm happy about this because I don't have a lot of friends. Usually if I've got a friend online, it's max 1, and in those cases then you're not fully maximizing the ships you can bring with you, or the fleet, because if you're gonna have 3 frigates, or then I'll only be using 2 if I've only got 1 friend online, and then this will make it so that we're quite under equipped for doing the site, or we're not as equipped as we can be. Now that you've got 2 destroyers, you're maximally equipping yourself to be able to tackle the site, and I think that's pretty cool. Also, just in general, I really like the idea of just using more ships in the Abyss. It's not just one way. It used to just be cruisers. Then I was really cool that you could also have different strategies for frigates. Now you can even have destroyers, add another element of gameplay, and especially that you're able to have T3 destroyers, because I thought you won't be able to use the T3 destroyers. The T3 destroyers are allowed. The T3 cruisers, on the other hand, are not allowed, and I can see why, because they're really overpowered, but I didn't expect them to allow then T3 destroyers, because I thought maybe since T3 cruisers are not allowed, I thought maybe T3 destroyers are not allowed, but it seems like they are allowed, or you can see here, unless CCP makes some change. But I think that's good, because the thing is, as far as like I've not got a whole lot of experience with the destroyers. I don't usually fly destroyers a whole lot, but I feel like I've used like the Confessor, for example, the T3 destroyers in general. They're not that much better than the standard destroyers or Tech 2 destroyers and T1 destroyers, but T3 cruisers, I feel like they're a lot better than Tech 2 cruisers and normal cruisers. So let's just see if we get any loot from here. The thing is, T1 loot is so bad, just unbelievably bad. I wonder how it would be then in the T0s. Okay, so then it comes to the third thing that I think is quite interesting, and something that actually maybe is even a bit bugged with the Depths of the Abyss update, is that we've got new waves that spawn. So we've got actually Sanchez and different pirate enemies that will actually spawn in the Abyss. So far I've come across the Angel Cartel pirates and also the Sanchez Nation pirates. And the Sanchez Nation pirates, they are so broken. It feels like they're broken, that they're probably going to be fixed, but I don't know if it's intended or not. I never know. In the Abyss, they want maybe to be a bit of, variation, that you've got extremely hard waves, but they're crazy strong. I was in a T2 doing in this Confessor, and they just nuked me off the field. The ships of the Sanchez Nation in the Abyss, the Abyssal Sanchez Nation ships, they have so much DPS, they have so good tracking, and they have so good range. Like, when you spawn into the site, they will instantly start doing damage to you, and they'll track you really crazily good. I was trying to do a bit of transversal moving with my destroyer at max speed, and it was not working. They just hit everything. I was even trying to get close and everything, and I just died almost straight away. Like, my armor repair was not doing anything. Those Sanchez Nation guys, they're really deadly. The Angel Cartel guys, on the other hand, they don't seem to be that strong. They're not really strong, but what is strong actually are their frigates, I've noticed, because their frigate, well, let's Webifier this guy. The frigates that they've got, actually, the Dramiel, the ones, and also just in general, most of the frigates they've got, they're really fast, and they seem to have a quite small signature radius, so it's quite hard to hit them. The reason I have this Webifier here is because actually I tried going against some Angel Cartel frigates in a T1 Abyss, and I actually couldn't finish that site, and it was not because I couldn't, I died because I didn't have enough tank. It's because the frigates were so fast that they tackled me, so I couldn't move, so I couldn't, like, you know, pull range and make transversal better, and they were orbiting me like at 4k a second. They were really damn fast, and their signature radius was tiny, so even though this destroyer has got like small beam lasers, it was still not able to hit him, and that was just really an upside or power or strength of the Angel Cartel ships, that they have got so good ability to sig tank because of their high speeds and tiny signature radius in terms of at least the frigate ones. Otherwise, they didn't seem to be that strong in terms of their neuting capabilities. Their neuting capabilities weren't that strong. Also, their damage was not amazing either. I was doing the T6 filament and it went really well. And when I was against the Angel Cartel ships, I thought they would be a lot stronger. The Drifters seemed to be and Triglavian seems to be quite a bit stronger. And I really like those are the three things. So we've got the new Filaments, we've got the Destroyers being able to go into the Abyss, and we've got the new waves. And something I really hope that we'll be able to do eventually is Battleship Abyss sites. I really want to bring a Rattlesnake or a Marauder, especially a Marauder, to the Abyss, because I feel like Marauders right now, there are no PvE activities, at least in high sec, that really challenge them. The most you can do are L4 missions, and L4 missions are just so easy for Marauders that you can get by with just 4 damage modules in the low slots. Even a Tech 2 damage mod in the rigs, like only 1 or 2 tank modules is enough to tank L4 missions. I just in general think that it would be really cool if there's some kind of like solo or semi-solo PvE activity that fully involved utilizing the Marauder's amazing tank they've got, because just was never really any use to it in HiSec. And when it comes to, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the T6 filaments that I've done, because I've been actually thinking a bit like, what are they, and my little bit of thoughts about running them. Because the thing is, when I was running them, the tank I needed was not crazily bigger than T5s. I mean, it obviously was born, but it was not crazily amount. The big difference between T5s and T6s, it was that I needed to have a lot more DPS. You saw in that there's a video I've made of T6. You should go check it out. I only had 1 minute to spare, and that was like about average spawns. I didn't get really bad spawns, but I didn't get good spawns either. I didn't at all get good spawns. So I had 1 minute left, and I fully blinged out Gila. So the thing is, like, I don't understand how a cruiser is supposed to be able to run it. Maybe heavy assault missile Gila, but then that'll not be good because of the range of heavy assault missiles. I'm not 100% sure, but what I do think, though, that could be a way to do T6s consistently, because the Gila can do T6s, but it doesn't seem like it's that easy to get, always like that viable to get it to do it consistently, at least if you're not using like officer mods. What I can see, though, being a way to tackle T6s consistently is to do dual destroyers or like triple frigate squads, because the thing is, frigates and destroyers will do much more damage than cruisers. For example, this Confessor right here with Imperial Navy Multifrequency in sharpshooter mode does 350 DPS, and I've not got good skills for tactical destroyers. If I have my tactical destroyer to level 5, I'll have about 470 DPS, and that's assuming I don't use a Pyrolancer, agency Pyrolancer. I can maybe almost hit 500 DPS. We've got, if I was 2 destroyers, I would have 900 DPS. That's much more than your average Gila. Like, usually they will not have that much DPS, so that could be a way. A Retribution, for example, can usually get about 300 with Multifrequency. 3 of them will do 900 DPS, and that's just Tech 2 fit. If you bling it, you'll go over 1k. So I can see those kind of compositions being ways that you could actually reliably not have time be a big issue in the T6s. Obviously, it'll be something to think about, but it'll be possible to do it more consistently for unlucky aware spawns, because the T6 just doesn't seem to be at all that viable in terms of the amount of time you're supposed to spend to do them. You can use augmented drones, but to be honest, augmented drones, they're good because of the amount of damage, but they do mixed resist types. Mixed resist types not always the best, because in the Abyss you got a weather effect, and a weather effect is obviously going to make that specific type of damage type do more damage, and you would only want to have a Tech 2 one then, because you only want to do one damage type. Also, something I've been thinking about, because the thing is, this destroyer, I've been using it and it's actually not been doing that well. I was not able to do T2s, and that has a bit to do with the new spawns that are really deadly, but also it's the thing is with the destroyers in general, my thoughts is that destroyers, it feels like they're too big to sig tank or speed tank, but they're too small, or they're too small, or they're not as tanky enough to just face tank stuff like a cruiser can. So that leaves them in a bit of a weird situation. At least there's the T3Ds that I've tried. But the thing is, what is good, especially with this Confessor, is it's got 2 utility hives. So this enables you to have, if you're 2 guys, you'd put 2 remote armor repairs. You could remove these local armor repairs and put a lot of resist modules, so you have really high resistances. Then you just rely on remote reps, because that will be a lot more efficient. As far as I understand, remote repping is usually more efficient, and as well is a lot cheaper. So that could be an alternative to rely a lot on remote repping with these kind of destroyers with a lot of utility highs. That could be a possibility. I've also seen people talking about using the Draugr, the Triglavian Tech 2 destroyer, the command destroyer, and this apparently can run T6s. People have said that they've been able to run T6s in 2 of these, and I can see why, because Triglavian ships in general are just really powerful. A Tech 2 version will be even more powerful. The Nurgle is really powerful, so is the Draugr. It got buffed also recently. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the new Abyss sites. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you enjoyed doing a T0 that was just required 0 effort. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.